In the vast wilderness of North America, where towering trees stretched endlessly into the horizon, and the air was filled with the earthy scent of pine and cedar, a legend was born, a figure so monumental that his name would echo through generations. His name was Paul Bunyan, a giant lumberjack whose incredible feats were as immense and awe-inspiring as the sprawling forests he helped tame. His story, rooted in the oral traditions of hard-working lumberjacks, became a cornerstone of American folklore, embodying the rugged determination and adventurous spirit of the frontier. Paul Bunyan wasn't just a man. He was a larger-than-life symbol of strength, resilience, and the untamed power of the human spirit in the face of nature's vast and unrelenting wilderness. According to the tales passed down through generations, Paul was no ordinary child. From the very beginning, he was destined for greatness, or at least for enormous proportions. The story goes that when Paul was born, his size was so extraordinary that it took not one but five massive storks to deliver him to his astonished parents. Even as a baby, Paul showed signs of the extraordinary life he was destined to lead. As a child, Paul's appetite was insatiable. He consumed enough food to feed an entire village, much to the amazement and exhaustion of his family. His enormous size was matched only by his boundless energy. Stories tell of how young Paul accidentally flattened entire forests while playing or created natural wonders with a single misstep. His every action seemed to reshape the world around him, leaving a trail of marvels and mishaps that would later become the stuff of legend. As Paul grew older, his adventures became even more remarkable. He wandered across the untamed wilderness, carving out his place in the world with sheer determination and a hearty laugh that echoed through the trees. But no story of Paul Bunyan would be complete without mentioning his loyal and equally legendary companion, Babe, the giant blue ox. Babe entered Paul's life during one of the harshest winters the land had ever seen. The snow fell so deep and thick that it blanketed everything in sight, creating drifts taller than most trees. It was during this time that Paul stumbled upon Babe, who was trapped in a massive snowdrift. Seeing the helpless creature struggling, Paul, with his immense strength and kind heart, rescued the ox and nursed him back to health. Babe was no ordinary animal. His coat was a brilliant shade of blue, a color so vibrant that it seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. Babe's size and strength were unparalleled, and he quickly became Paul's trusted companion and closest friend. Together, the two of them formed an inseparable team, taking on challenges that no ordinary man or ox could ever dream of. Their partnership wasn't just about work, it was a bond of friendship and mutual respect that defined their incredible journey through the wilderness. The tales of Paul and Babe are filled with extraordinary feats that defy belief and capture the imagination. It's said that together, they shaped some of America's most iconic landmarks. For example, the Great Lakes were supposedly created when Paul dug enormous holes in the ground to provide watering spots for Babe. Each lake was perfectly sized to ensure Babe could quench his thirst after long days of hard work. And the mighty Mississippi River? That, too, was the result of one of Paul's legendary mishaps. The story goes that Paul accidentally spilled a barrel of water while carrying it across the land, and the rushing water carved out the river's winding path. Even the Grand Canyon, one of the most awe-inspiring natural wonders in the world, is said to bear Paul's mark. According to legend, the canyon was formed when Paul dragged his massive axe behind him while walking through the wilderness. The sheer force of the axe created the deep, winding chasm that we now marvel at. These stories, though fantastical, highlight the creativity and humor with which Paul's tales have been passed down through generations. But Paul Bunyan's story isn't just about physical feats and natural wonders. It's also about the people he worked with and the community he built around him. Paul's crew of lumberjacks was as colorful and unique as the man himself. Each member of his team had their own quirks and talents, adding to the richness of the legend. For instance, Paul's cook was known for making flapjacks the size of wagon wheels, feeding the entire crew with a single batch. The lumberjacks themselves were said to use entire trees as toothpicks after their hearty meals. These humorous details paint a picture of a world where everything was larger than life, just like Paul. Paul's life was a testament to the challenges and triumphs of taming the American wilderness. His story grew out of the oral traditions of 19th century lumberjacks, who worked tirelessly in the forests of the northern United States and Canada. These men, facing grueling labor and harsh conditions, entertained themselves by spinning tall tales, stories that grew taller with each retelling. Over time, Paul Bunyan emerged as the ultimate folk hero, a figure who represented their struggles, victories, and the boundless potential of the human spirit. While the stories of Paul Bunyan are undoubtedly exaggerated, they hold a deeper truth about the values and dreams of the people who created them. Paul represents the spirit of exploration, the willingness to tackle the impossible, and the belief belief that even the largest challenges can be overcome with determination and creativity. He's a reminder of a time when the wilderness was vast and untamed, and the people who lived there were equally bold and resourceful. Today, Paul Bunyan remains an enduring symbol of American folklore. His image can be found in statues, festivals, and stories across the United States, particularly in regions with a rich logging history. From Maine to Minnesota, communities celebrate his legacy with pride, ensuring that his story continues to inspire new generations. So, the next time you see a towering statue of Paul Bunyan and his faithful blue ox, Babe, remember the legend they represent. They are more than just characters from a story. They are a reflection of the ingenuity, humor, and indomitable spirit that helped shape the nation. Paul Bunyan may be a myth, but his legacy is very real, reminding us of the power of imagination and the enduring magic of storytelling. Paul Bunyan's crew of lumberjacks was as legendary as the giant lumberjack himself. Each member of his team brought their own unique flair to the camp, creating a colorful cast of characters that matched Paul's larger-than-life persona. The camp's cook, for instance, was no ordinary chef. This culinary genius prepared flapjacks so enormous that they rivaled the size of wagon wheels. Entire trees were used as spatulas to flip these gigantic pancakes, and the lumberjacks devoured them with gusto, fueled for another day of conquering the forest. The men themselves weren't far behind in their eccentricities. After feasting on meals fit for titans, they would casually pick their teeth with entire tree trunks. Every tale about Paul and his team seemed to defy logic, reflecting the monumental challenges of taming the untamed wilderness. The crew's adventures were as wild as they were humorous. One story tells of a lumberjack named Big Ol, who was so strong that he could uproot a full-grown tree with a single hand and use it as a toothpick after lunch. Another crew member, Sourdough Sam, was said to have brewed coffee so strong that it could dissolve metal and even wake the dead. Then there was Smokestack Slim, who could chop down 100 trees before breakfast and stack them into perfect piles without breaking a sweat. These characters, while exaggerated, symbolize the camaraderie, ingenuity, and perseverance needed to survive and thrive in the rugged wilderness of the American frontier. But where did these fantastical stories come from? Many historians and folklorists believe that the legend of Paul Bunyan was born from the rich oral traditions of lumberjacks working in the dense forests of North America during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. These hard-working men faced grueling days of physical labor, often in harsh and isolating conditions. To pass the time and lift their spirits, they began spinning tall tales around the campfires at night. What started as simple anecdotes quickly grew into wildly exaggerated stories, each one more outlandish than the last. In these tales, Paul Bunyan emerged as the ultimate hero, a figure so massive and powerful that he could single-handedly shape the landscape. Paul Bunyan wasn't just a lumberjack. He became a symbol of the American spirit. His character represented the rugged determination, resourcefulness, and humor that defined the pioneers who ventured into the uncharted wilderness. The stories served as a way to celebrate the accomplishments of these lumberjacks while also providing a sense of unity and pride. Over time, Paul Bunyan transitioned from a regional folk hero to a national icon, thanks in part to the creative marketing efforts of logging companies in the early 20th century. These companies embraced Paul's legend, using it to promote the timber industry and connect with the public. One of the earliest written accounts of Paul Bunyan appeared in 1916, published by a Michigan logging company. This version of the tale helped to solidify Paul's image as a giant lumberjack with superhuman abilities, accompanied by his trusty companion, Babe the Blue Ox. The story resonated with people across the country, and Paul Bunyan quickly became a household name. As the years passed, his legend continued to grow, with each retelling adding new details and adventures to his already impressive resume. Paul Bunyan's impact wasn't limited to oral traditions and advertisements. He also became a cultural icon celebrated in art, literature, and popular culture. Throughout the United States, towns with strong ties to the logging industry erected towering statues of Paul and Babe, each one a testament to the enduring power of his legend. These statues, often painted in vibrant colors, stand as proud reminders of the hardworking men and women who helped shape the country's history. Festivals and events dedicated to Paul Bunyan are held annually in states like Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Oregon, drawing visitors from far and wide to celebrate his mythical legacy. The tales of Paul Bunyan and his crew also served as a reflection of the broader changes taking place in America during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. As the frontier era came to a close and the wilderness gave way to towns, railroads, and industry, Paul's stories captured a sense of nostalgia for the untamed land that once defined the nation. His legend bridged the gap between the past and the present, offering a larger-than-life figure who could conquer the challenges of both nature and progress. Today, Paul Bunyan remains one of the most beloved and enduring figures in American folklore. His stories continue to inspire creativity and imagination, captivating audiences of all ages. From children's books and animated films to roadside attractions and local lore, Paul Bunyan's influence can be seen everywhere. His legend reminds us of the power of storytelling and its ability to connect us to our history, our culture, and each other. So, the next time you find yourself gazing at one of the many statues of Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox, take a moment to reflect on the legacy they represent. These larger-than-life figures are more than just symbols of folklore. They are a testament to the resilience, humor, and boundless imagination that have shaped the American spirit. Whether you believe in the tales or simply enjoy them for their whimsical charm, Paul Bunyan's story invites us to dream big, face challenges with courage, and embrace the adventures that come our way. In the end, Paul Bunyan is more than a myth. He is a reflection of the values and aspirations that define the American frontier, a symbol of strength, adventure, and the unyielding power of imagination. His legend lives on, reminding us that even in the face of the impossible, we can achieve greatness when we dare to dream.